Namaskar. You're watching Global Governance News TV. I'm Kumar Rakesh. Just we're going to discuss today Ukraine-Russia issue and humanity. Just you'll think, why are just taking the issue of humanity? If you're talking the any business, any relation, but humanity is supreme as I think. And today, how the Russia just recognized two new states in Ukraine and what opposing and why opposing Russia and just trying to invade Ukraine. It's a big issue now and a world issue now. That this is that Donetsk and Luhansk. Yeah, just they recognize two states, new states, and giving the all power, and that is both are the troubled states of Ukraine, where the more than 30,000 Russian living there, and they speak Russian. And since 1991, as you have seen, many problems in internal Russia. So just if you see the history, how just when the Glasnost Perestroika just came in the uh, land and of USSR. So this is so many territorial disputes. Crimea, including the Sevastopol, Kerch Strait, Sea of Azov. This is a a main problem between that, and how the Ukraine, like a small country, will be the member of NATO. Why and what for? Tuzla conflict unresolved since 2003. Russian nationalists have also disputed Ukraine independent existence, considering Ukrainian and as well as the Belarusian to belong to the Russian nation and Ukraine to belong to Greater Russia. In 2006, Putin reportedly stated Ukraine is not even a state. And after the annexation of Crimea, he stated in July 2021, the Ukrainian and Russian are one people. In February 2020, leading Kremlin ideologue Vladislav Surkov stated there is no Ukraine. According to international relations scholar John Alexander Dewin, among the Russian public, it is a commodity regarded as self-evident that Crimea has historically been Russian territory, but also that all of Ukraine is in essence a historical part of Russia. And now I'll just update you for the today development, how the Russia is going on. By I think hourly debate on Germany suspend Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline in response to Russia action in Ukraine, and decision significant move to German government, which had long resisted pulling the plug on the project despite pressure from the United States and some European countries too. Washington has for years argued that building another pipeline bringing natural gas and uh, just you see how the development is going on now, and and just I'll tell you the latest one, the development, uh, the how the UK reacted, how the US reacted. So just US calls Russian moves on Ukraine on invasion. White House now calling Russian moves on Ukraine an invasion. The AP reported that set the stage for the strong sanction long promised that Russia built up an estimated 150,000 troops near Ukraine in recent weeks. Several Western leaders said Tuesday that Russian troops have moved into rebel-held areas in eastern Ukraine after President Vladimir Putin's recognized their independence, but some indicated it was not a long-feared full-fledged invasion. China also reacted Russia decree on Ukraine, and China Foreign Minister Wang Yi emphasized China's consistent position on Ukraine issue. He said that legitimate security concern of any country must be respected, and the purposes and principle of UN Charter must be upheld. And UNSC meeting also held in headquarters, and they also condemned and how just what has happened in the Ukraine issue has much to do with the long delay in the effective implementation of Minsk II agreement. He said that referring to the protocol signed in 2014 and 2015, which ruled out foreign arms formation, including NATO equipment and machineries. UK sanctioned 5 Russian banks, three oligarchs over the Ukraine issue. UK government imposed a tough sanction against the 5 Russian banks and 3 super rich oligarch from the country over President Putin's aggressive action on the Ukraine border. So, so uh, uh, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the House of Commons that this is the first tranche of the measures in the response to Russian troops moving into two separatist regions of Ukraine. US welcomed Nord Stream to halt with announced own measures against Russia. Russia hits out at the Germany move to halt Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. And the Russian government official Dmitry Medvedev tweeted, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has issued an order to halt the process of certifying the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. Well, welcome to the brave new world where Europeans are very soon going to pay €2,000 for 1,000 cubic meters natural gas. NATO announced urgent meeting with the Ukraine. Why? Russia say not planning to send troops to East Ukraine for now. UK PM Boris Johnson calls Russian action in Ukraine predicts for the full-scale invasion. Germany moves, and just I told you. This is the latest position on the Russia and Ukraine issue. So now I welcome Alok Laharji, a senior journalist from the Spain, Dr. Silpi Saxena ji, just education analyst and keeping an eye on foreign affairs, Professor Shivaji Sarkar, the political analyst from Bharat, and Vandana Jinganji, senior journalist from the Chicago, USA. So I start from the Alok ji. How just you take this subject is a Ukraine, Russian issue and humanity. Where is a humanity stand in all of its spheres of just the power struggle and just to invade the other countries like that.
Good evening, Kumar Akeji and fellow panelists. I mean, first of all, what we are seeing is through a very US prism. I've been in touch with people and friends who are living in Ukraine. I also, have certain Ukrainian friends who are living here in Spain. They are not at all worried. They know Russia will never invade Ukraine. Everybody and anybody in Ukraine, and I'm talking to you about people who are living in Kharkiv, which is the major town which is bordering Russia. Kyiv is more in the center. I'd just like to tell you that Ukraine is not a small country. It's a huge country compared to the other elements of the European Union. It is not part of the European Union, so to say, because it still does not use the euro. And nobody is worried. People are skating there because, the temperature are minus 10 or 20 degrees, depending on where you are. And people are doing their business. Obviously, there is some element of, people are scared normally because lots of military presence is there. But they have it very clear. Russians are our brothers. They are not going to attack. They are not scared at all. They know this is going to happen. Now, this whole tussle is not between Ukraine and Russia. It is not even a matter of fact that, it is fine that the present president of Ukraine, he's more tilted towards United States. But we don't have to forget that the previous, president, he was ousted by utilizing certain methods which are undemocratic, and he had to take refuge in Russia. And from the Russian point of view, Ukraine is the head of Russia. In case they lose Ukraine, they are going to lose the head. This is what a popular saying is there in Russia. So this, what has happened is the exit Americans had from Afghanistan have left them nowhere, and especially the president. So he's trying to cultivate an image of a tough guy, which he's going to fail miserably, because even without shooting or firing anything, I think President, Putin, he has already won the war. And this war is not about, the traditional weapon war type of a thing. What is happening is it's economical. Americans are not at all interested in Germany becoming friendly to the Russians. And the whole of Europe is dependent on the Russian gas, which earlier was coming through Ukraine. Ukraine, by the way, has the second largest pipeline in the world. And the second pipeline, which you just mentioned, that Germany is not going to give them permission. We'll wait and see if they'll give permission or not, because what they're trying to do is they surpass Ukraine and get gas into Germany, which means they'll not have to pay any kind of royalty to the Ukrainians. And it will from Russia, because of whatever reason, in case the Ukrainians stop it. I don't think they're going to do it because it's a major source of economy for them also. So this whole war is about Germany and how Germany should not get friendly. I mean, just imagine, why was NATO made? NATO was made because the Americans sold this boogie to the Europeans that the Russians are going to attack you, the Russians are coming, and all the Hollywood propaganda was also on that, and that the communists are coming. But now this is not the case. Lots of countries from USSR, they have become part of the European Union, and there was a treaty. There was a verbal kind of a treaty which was between the European Union and. So, it has lost it. NATO has lost its, how do I say, political presence in any case. Why do the Europeans need NATO at all? I mean, right now the world is not bipolar. It is just single. There is only one single superpower, and that is the Americans. So like the non-aligned movement, it has gone in for a toss. Like there is no alignment now because there is nothing to be aligned to. You don't have to be non-aligned. So that non-aligned movement does not exist. So similarly, NATO should be dismantled. But instead of doing that, what they're doing is they're trying to get in the earlier Soviets. Like Poland is there, Czech Republic is there, Slovak Republic. They are trying to get them into NATO, and they're more than thrilled because now they feel that they're closer to America and their economy will go in for a boost. Nothing like this is going to happen. But Ukraine is, getting the guns too close to the Russians, and the Russians don't like it. So in case tomorrow NATO forces are sitting in, let's say, Kharkiv or even Kyiv, then the distance from there to Moscow reduces down to 500 odd kilometers. So which means they are under target. So this is a major concern for Russia. Nobody is talking from the Russian point of view, and we don't have to forget that Ukraine was part of USSR.
Yeah.
And in case Russians decide that it is not going to happen, there is nobody on this earth which can make it happen. They can do any kind of sanctions, they can do, but in case Russia stops the supply of gas, the natural gas, I don't think America is in a position, or even they're using Qatar to supply gas to the Europeans.
There are so many.
It is not going to happen because the cost factor is going to be so high that it's already Europe is facing a energy crisis. In India, we were talking about the gas rates going up. This is untouchable right now. It is almost touching €2 now.
Yeah, Alokji, all countries to either European Union and USA, either Ukraine and the UK, all interests are there. Vandanaji, today how they reacted the White House and the Joe Biden on the issue of this Russian-Ukraine? How just you analyze from the US angle?
Namaskar everyone, and regarding this issue we've been discussing a lot because there has been as Alokji did mention, because the rating of this current president is gone so low in the recent months, to be honest, that how he is handled. So maybe that he wanted to bring, because when we talk about the previous president, no matter what you say, he was bringing the forces back. So there was no war like in the Trump's era. But here we are trying to instigate others because, and he was supposed to address at 1 now he's going to be addressing 12 noon Central Time of ours, the President Biden. And I'm just waiting because if they're talking about the sanctions to USSR and stuff like that, that's not going to have an impact because we know that world order is changing. And as did mention, like the gas pricing all and around, like, it has gone up, people are facing. But is it a time for the war? I think no nation can afford to have a war, to be very honest with you, because we are still not out of pandemic. And the after impact of the pandemic is still yet to be felt, to be honest, because on a ground reality, living in the Chicago, United States of America, we are feeling it like on ground, like, We are seeing it, how the supply chain has been impacted and stuff like that. And will we be able to build it overnight? No, because in today's time, every nation has been depending on others, to be honest. So, I mean, it is a weight because NATO, when we talk about NATO, who's feeding, means who's financially supporting the NATO nations? It is most of the countries have been supported by America itself. And now, as he, like Alokji did mention, the need of NATO, because you can have a threat that this guy will attack you, and things were different in the earlier time, but things are different in today's time. So people have to realize that. And I'm just like, because how the media is portraying, like in here as well as in Bharat, as if and because we all know that Ukraine and Russia being one nation earlier, and why do they want to put the NATO's on the head of United States, means on the Russia? And so that's what is the main reason. So let's wait and watch what's coming up, I think. And we should all, I am actually not in favor of any war at this point of time. And this is,
Nobody is.
yeah,
Nobody is. Yeah.
and
No,
deep
yeah.
state of our country, because it is all about arms and ammunitions and the sales of those, like, means
Yeah.
where people are into a very high.
So no, nobody is in favor of, I think, war and all are peace. But what Russia is just behaving, that's also matter of concern for the all a part of the world. So Professor Shivaji Sarkar, how just you analyze the situation, and why don't you think this is a humanity should be also angle for the any country who are the powerful or less powerful?
So you see, really, Vandana, he was saying that they were one country. Well, India and Pakistan were also one entity, definitely. But that doesn't make it a very friendly relations. So that is what also is true about Ukraine and Russia also now. So you see, already Crimea had been separated by them. The two other provinces now they are also separated by Russia. I think that was a very clever move of Putin. I believe. I think because you see what you were saying that there can't be a war. I agree with that. But whatever it is, you see, there is another aspect to it. It is the energy market. Basically, you can say the petroleum and gas market. They are taking advantage of it, of the uncertainties, and they are jacking up prices. And that is creating as uncertainty all over the world. And we know today Sri Lanka is in a crisis now. They do not have even enough foreign exchange to buy crude. So, what happens or not, any disturbance anywhere creates a turbulence all over the world. Ashok, you was saying that NATO is irrelevant. I agree, NATO is irrelevant. But US is, despite that, creating various other kinds of alliances in Asia and other places. So, the issue is, I believe, one thing that has happened actually after Afghanistan, and the way US has virtually been cornered in the Central and Middle East, that West Asia, I feel US itself feels threatened that their supremacy is getting affected. Europe is
Yeah.
also not much interested in having US as their boss anymore. And US wants that all Poland, Ukraine, and all those, Ukraine is all, they should become a part of NATO. Ukraine is always almost prepared to join the Euro region. By 2030 or so, they are trying to join that. So you see, it is a matter of issue of economy. It is an issue of clashes of ego or ego of the nations. These are the issues definitely. But if you see from the Indian point of view, we are concerned on what? That crude prices should not go up. A disturbance with Russia and Ukraine, India has taken a virtually a very peculiar kind of neutrality or not, but India looks shaken on that. So various other countries would also be like that. So how in this kind of a situation, the issue is, of course, Europe itself is not interested in a war. Russia doesn't want a war, I believe, but of course it can't leave the things as they are. Ukraine would be least interested in a war. US is the only interested party because if there is a war, their economy goes up with arms sales and various other kind of logistics. So except US, nobody is really interested in a war anywhere. And I believe the people in the US are not interested in a war. So in these kind of situations, I believe the world is going through a very critical situation, and world economy has just started picking up after the pandemonium. So if there is a war, by chance, I'm saying, and even if there is not a war, if the tension even goes on, even then there will be a trouble in the world economy. And I think that at this juncture, no country in the world is prepared to face another lockdown situation. Means here, of course, there won't be a lockdown, but a situation of crisis where the hunger in the world would increase.
That's your very question. Just Shivaji raised. This is due to the pandemic, and just Russia is behaving like that, and our media is far for facts and the reality.
Rakesh,
Every day they are
our,
going to be.
I think our media has not at all studied the situation at all. They're
You are
just
right.
they're just trying to create a kind of a hype.
Hi, whatever wife they can. So Dr. Sylvie Saxena, whatever Shivaji said, just that during the pandemic, this country is coming out, the world is coming out from the pandemic. And now the situation is how just going to be prevailed by the Russia, and we're going to create the situation of this, far from humanity. They are not thinking on that. Why and what for?
Yes, very true, Mr. Shivraj Singh. He has said that. In fact, the question you have raised in this debate is really remarkable. That whether we are in the condition to afford war, here, I mean, we stand for the world. We does not mean that the Ukraine or the Russia. So we have to understand this situation through geographical context, through economical context. As geographically, earlier Ukraine and Russia were one country. Now the geographical situation or position of Ukraine is that he is nearly very much attached with the European countries, as you have told that that Ukraine is a good source of gas and petroleum gases. So that may be one of the reasons. But now the question is related to war. So we are from such a country because India is such a country who has giving lesson to peace, world peace, and Vasudha Kutumbakam. We believe in that unity in the world. And after pandemic, the world has faced this kind of situation. We have not witnessed this kind of a situation that we have witnessed from last 2 years. And as the casualties, I think more than 30,000 casualties have been done till now in Ukraine and Russia war. So now this is the time where the people have to rethink about their strategy, what they are going to do, and what they are going to achieve with that. The world has to think the situation in a broader perspective, not as a geographical boundary, but they have to think the condition because we are not in such a state as Vannaji has said. We are not in such a state that we cannot imagine a war situation because if war happens, of course, the world is going to suffer because I believe that the world is like a human body. If one part suffers, the whole body gets infected. So it may be the economical crisis, it may be the world peace crisis. But personally, I feel that we are not in a condition to face war or to, in fact, to imagine a war situation. Thank
Well,
you.
so nice. Just at time of break, and after break, I'll just see the how the Ukrainian and Russian think for themselves, and vice versa. How the Russians think for the Ukrainian, and Ukraine thinks for the Russian. And I was also 2005 in Ukraine with his official visit by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in Kiev. I was for the 3 days, so I have seen the many situation for the media as well the politics and the all. We'll also just discuss on that. Just time a break. Welcome after break. Just we're discussing the Ukraine-Russia situation and condition, and how the role of humanity with the interest of the all, just a business deal, and how from the since the first day of inception, Russia is not considering Ukraine as an independent country, and so many, just the ego issue and the self-vested interest issue was also there. So if you see, Vandanaji, there is a very interesting data. I just placing before you the Russian attitudes towards Ukraine. If you see the opinion, 2008 to 2015, just 16, you can say. So that was a good percentage was 30%, 38% to 41%. Okay. So October 8 to 9, 1 year, if you compare it, as well as the good situation and condition in February 12 to 15, 64 to 26%. We can see. And then negativity is like that. How Russian negative towards Ukraine, 53% to 59%. This already increased. Same how the Ukrainian thinks about the Russia in 2008, 2009, good percentage on 88% to 91%. But now, uh, uh, just less than, this is about 2015, 21%. And negative 9% to, that's 9% negative Ukraine towards Russia. Now it is negative, big, just going to 72%. So this is a graph, how this is according to 2004 Kiev International Institute of Sociology and other institutes has been done the survey for both the country. And so many treaties and agreement was there, and the territorial disputes were there, Crimea issues and Tuzla Island, and how the Soviet nationalists talk about the Ukraine is not a state. I have interviewed so many person in 2005 when I was visited. I was part of the official delegation of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, President of India. So I also feel it. So how just you analyze this? The reason I think this is total issues of the ego and vested interest. How do you think?
As you already answered the question, which in today's time, we are in a very superficial world when I'm saying reality. If you see, who is big, who's bigger, and who's the biggest, to be honest. To claim themselves in this horde, we are trying to, because the role that America is playing, the country that I'm living in right now, the US, like the part of means because it is the Ukraine, as you did mention, why this negativity has gone so high among people's mind. Because in today's time, everybody wants to live peacefully, Geo or Ginedo. We are working means, and why these kind of unrest and stress on the head of, you can very well imagine, like if we know in the this percentage increase is with the new generation coming in, because the oldest generation, because being one nation, there were common grounds, right? Families and this and that. It's a very common sense thing. But when the new generation, they themselves, like if you see, there were people from the older generation living in Bharat, those who had soft corner for the rogue nation next to us, Pakistan, because they were born there. Like my
Yeah.
means, I'm just saying that. But when we are seeing there's a continuous trouble, so generation after generation, because 70 plus years, it takes a time. It is not an overnight. When you were, because it was the same nation. Ultimately, Vasudev Kutumbakam, when we say, if we live on that, so the world is the whole family, like a small family. There are a lot of people, those who are working in that other country. There are other, because now India has called back its citizens to come back, like they are sending, I think I was just watching the news, the Air India planes been coming back, and they have issued warnings, and embassies have been asked to not means to vacate and come back, otherwise there will not be any evacuation. And the role of the media, which the question you brought, the way they are putting their there are no news in any of the mainstream Indian channel other than the Ukraine and the Russia crisis news. There are debates going on, there are experts coming on, And we have to wait and watch, because as you said that, because I've already answered the negativity part, because this
Yeah.
will roll more high when the new generation, because we all know that Ukraine, the people, those who are serving in the uniform, Ukraine hires them from the different countries. There are people, I means like if you want to work for the Ukraine army, you can be hired. Just send them your resume, some with training and stuff like that, and you'll be paid for it. So, but will, like they Shilpi ji, a person in the Indian army versus a person in the Ukraine army who's just been hired, what will be that our people, they fight not only with the weapon, they fight with their head as well as their heart. But there
Yeah.
it is going to be like, so that's also, there are a lot of different issues to be discussed about. But what I am seeing it, as you just said, this is the main reason that everybody wants to claim themselves that I'm number one and I'm number one, means like on that whole. But I think the let the wisdom prevail, and this is the need of today's time. India has been keeping neutral, and which is very good right now. I mean, there's some, like, I just conclude. Over to you, Rakesh.
So nice. Just you are talking about that. So, Dr. Sivai Sarkar, do you think that human rights is an issue in the Ukraine, and that is already just analyzed and calculated by the Russia also? That is, some people insiders say this human rights problem is created by the Russia. Do you think so?
You see, any kind of this kind of a situation like this, human rights issues will always be there. Some one or the other of the human rights will be definitely be trampled, deliberately or not. Because if there is a crisis, who suffers? The lowest of the rung. They will be suffering, no doubt, and you can't help on that. Even you see, even otherwise, of course, by Indian standard, the level of poverty is not much there. It is about only 3.2% in Ukraine. So if you say that aspect, perhaps not. But the issue is, what is the issue here? Issue is Ukraine doesn't want the big brother Russia. And Russia can't afford to lose the control over Ukraine, because it feels, and it is in a fear, in mortal fear, that if they lose Ukraine, the Russian Confederation that is there, that itself may disintegrate. That fear is definitely there. That is maybe a political reality also. So Russia can't afford to see, and especially had US not taken that much of interest in Ukraine, had it not invited to join it in the NATO, had it not been poking Ukraine to create problem for Russia, possibly Russia may not have been so desperate. So that desperation is there definitely on the part of Russia. And there is desperation is also on the part of Ukraine, that if at this point of time they succumb, Russia will come and control them. So this is a very ticklish issue, you see. And the way Ukraine or many other Russian federations are there, federation states, they somehow want less and less of Russian domination. That's the fact. So where that Russian domination will remain or not? If Russian domination doesn't remain, how US will react? So when you see this, you are talking, Vandanaji was saying about Indian neutrality. Now, Indian neutrality doesn't matter. India can't do anything there. India is not present geographically, physically, or even otherwise. It doesn't have any, except for some, say, moral influence, it doesn't have any other influence there.
Okay.
But India loses a lot. Now, almost 1/3 of doctors, that is the medical practitioners, they or medical graduates, they go to Ukraine for training and studying. And there are many other streams like that.
More than 20,000 Indian students are in Ukraine for studies of
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
medicine and
That
all.
is where the Indian interest is. Because and they go and they pay to the Ukraine. So you see, Ukrainian economy that is there, that is dependent on this kind of services. So now the problem with Ukraine is how it should get out of this kind of a situation. Who will mediate? Will Germany mediate? The issue is, I think, for another month or so, this situation of criticality will definitely remain there. But breaking out of war, I don't think is a possibility. But
Okay.
if it happens, no one can say anything about it. But presently, as I believe, whatever is happening, even this kind of a tense situation that is happening, the way India is trying to extradite its own people, many others may be trying to do that. That has a very heavy cost. And entire situation have a heavy cost on the world. Now, how the world can come out of it? Who will do those basic negotiations with Russia, UK, Ukraine, and US? So far, nobody has come out on that. Everyone is trying to keep their skin safe. So let us see what happens exactly. But I believe, of course, after a long drawn tussle, there will be a solution. Solution is the tension will ease down. That's it.
Okay. So just Alok ji, just human rights is an issue. I just try to make the answer from the question. So, do you think the human rights issue is Ukraine due to Russia intervention, or just for the own problem in Ukraine?
No, but I don't exactly know where is the human right violation there.
There was report last year back, just United Nations. There is a 2001 September 2001. The UN human rights recorded the 62 civilian casualties, 15 killed and 47 injured, and this is a 51% increase compared with the preceding 6 months. The trend is continuing with the additional 16 civilian casualties. 2 killed and 14 injured caused by active hostilities recorded between 31st July to 20 September in 2021. This is old reports, and this is only February 2022. So these numbers in August and September are the highest monthly figures since June 2020. This is a report. That's why I'm asking the question.
Actually, like I'm pretty unaware of this situation, so I don't think I'm the right person to be commenting on this. So in case somebody else knows more about this human right violation, he should be responding to these questions. I have no opinion on this because I am unaware of this.
Okay, so so nice. All of you just you just participated in the show and just talking about just Ukraine, Russia, just conflict, and there is I think no place of humanity in the just war of the business, war of the self-interest. So, but whatever US reacted, UK reacted, European Union reacted, that should be considered as a warning to Russia, and how that just the role of Bharat is just considered to be, yeah, in between, but saving the own people is also
India
important.
doesn't have any role there, Rakesh.
Yeah, but we have to save our people. That is a role of our role. That is our nationalist role. That's what we are doing. We know the situation of the both countries. We're not going to into that. So that is a main thing also. Just you're right. But whatever we can do, just we are just keeping.
When we are talking about role, Shivaji, the meaning that taking the stand on which side India will stand, because every nation, that's what he's trying to, I think, meant about it. And I'm going to point out one more thing when you talk about the human rights, because in the last few decades or over, human rights have become a biggest mockery, actually, the word itself, like, because they like it is, if you just see, because whose influence is there when we talk about the violations of human rights and all, because they see as it is convenient to them. And that is what is not right for our future. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So that's the point. Actually, whatever UN reports say, just to I placed before you. We think so. Just hope for the best that this conflict should not become converted into war. That should be for the peace and humanity, as we think, as we pray, as you just advocate. So nice of you. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Yeah, yeah.
Preview.